Welcome to the deep dive. Forget the spreadsheets today because we are heading deep into the unsettling side of Japan. We're not looking at official reports. Our sources are these really chilling, supposedly true horror stories for the anonymous corners of the Japanese web.
Yeah, specifically the infamous 2chan forums, which are now 5chans. Today's goal isn't just retelling them. We want to kind of analyze how these stories mix old folklore, modern anxiety, and even geography to get under your skin. We're digging for those nuggets of insight into how fear works and spreads over there. And it's really fascinating, how 2chan or 5chan now it acts like this huge anonymous melting pot for modern folklore. Unlike, say, traditional ghost stories passed down, these things get refined by the community almost in real time. So that line between maybe an original creepy experience and, well, pure fiction, it gets incredibly blurry. That makes them feel very real, very visceral.
Absolutely. A perfect starting point for that is our first story. It's known as Yuki Masha, and it centers on a suspension bridge up in the Tohoku region. Foggy, isolated. It's really a story about how powerful a collective, almost hypnotic suggestion can be. Okay, so the account we have is from someone in the second car. They saw the whole thing happen just like 10 meters ahead, 7 coworkers driving out to see this famous suspension bridge over a really deep mountain valley. Sun's going down, it's drizzling, foggy.
With a classic setup, isn't it? Isolation, fog, approaching night. It really primes you for something dreadful. It sets the psychological stage.
And what happened next is just, it defies explanation. The couple in the backseat of the first car, they suddenly burst out of the doors. Their faces were apparently frozen, like terror mixed with this weird compulsion. Before anyone could even react, they just linked hands, ran straight for the guardrail, climbed over, and threw themselves into the valley.
Oh, yeah.
Police confirmed 2 deaths. No foul play found.
It's the sheer speed, the synchronicity of it all, that's what's so deeply disturbing. But the manager, he survived, and his explanation, it points to something like mass spiritual compulsion.
Right, when they reached the first car, the manager was just gripping the steering wheel, apparently muttering, "Mustn't go, mustn't go."
Yeah.
Later, he said he saw this girl in an old-fashioned kimono, Meiji-era style, and then a whole group of kids dressed the same way just materialized out of the fog and surrounded their car.
Oh, man.
Now, the manager was apparently quite superstitious, so he immediately started chanting some kind of protective mantra, trying to ward them off. But the kids, they joined hands and started singing that really ominous children's song, Kagome, Kagome. And at the same time, the manager said he heard these voices in his head just commanding him, "Come with us."
He managed to fight it off.
He did. But the couple in the back,
Yeah.
they didn't. They were apparently lost to that sound, that command.
And using Kagome specifically,
What?
that's brilliant in a terrifying way because it shifts the dynamic, doesn't it? It goes from his personal attempt at defense, his mantra, to this overwhelming collective ritualistic command. Kagome, Kagome, isn't just some nursery rhyme. It's packed with really unsettling folklore.
That's the core insight here, isn't it? These stories aren't just about random tragedies. So why that song? What makes it such a perfect psychological weapon for these entities?
Well, the game itself historically is all about betrayal, fate, maybe even selection. You know the ending line, who stands behind you now? Traditionally, that pointed to the its person, the loser. But there's this darker theory that back in really desperate times, the game was actually used by poor families to decide which child.
Yep.
Well, which child would be sold off. It was seen as the will of the gods based on who was behind when the song ended, so these spirit children. They're tapping into that ancient idea of inescapable, almost divine selection. It gives their command, "Come with us," this awful finality.
Chilling.
Okay, so from a collective ritual, let's switch gears to a really high-stakes personal challenge. Daruma-san, the bath game. This one's all over 2chan. It supposedly offers great fortune if you win, but, well, death if you lose. The ultimate gamble, cooked up anonymously online.
Yeah, this is a prime example of those modern rules-based rituals that spring up online. It demands huge self-control, total isolation, which makes it really interesting psychologically. The idea is if you follow these very specific rules perfectly, you summon something, an entity that's also bound by the rules of this game.
Yes.
And the rules are designed for maximum creepiness, maximum anxiety. You have to wait till night, fill the tub, kill all the lights. Then, while you're washing your hair facing the faucet, eyes closed, you repeat this phrase, Daruma-san, I fell down, over and over. The whole point is to force this gruesome image into your mind. A woman slipping in the bath, falling right onto the tap, gouging out her right eye, and dying there. If you feel a presence behind you, that's the signal. The game is on. You then have to ask out loud, why did you fall? And this is crucial.
Yeah.
Get out, dry off, Go straight to bed, don't drain the tub, don't turn on any lights.
And then she appears. Daruma-san. The entity is always described the same way. Stained white clothes, long black hair, and that missing right eye. A really potent image of, well, horrific failure. She follows you all day, just getting closer.
Right, and the survival commands, that's what I find fascinating. If she gets too close, you have to shout, "Tunore," which means stop.
Yeah.
While doing the sharp chopping motion with your arm. That apparently stalls her for a bit, but the sources are clear. It works less and less each time you use it.
Right. The tension just keeps ratcheting up. And winning. Winning involves symbolism, too. You have to catch a glimpse of her, specifically over your right side with the missing eye. See?
Oh.
Before midnight strikes. And the instant you see her, you shout, "Kidda, I cut you loose," while doing another big swing or chop with your arm. It's that specific action, that declaration, that supposedly severs the connection. It's like you're actively rejecting the horrible fate you summon.
And if you fail, if midnight comes and you haven't done the kidda move,
she follows you forever. Apparently, she'll get you eventually, either in the real world or in your dreams.
But the ultimate warning, the one everyone stresses, is never ever play a second time.
Because she doesn't reset. Round 2 starts with her right where you last saw her. You literally have no time to run.
It says a lot that people would even consider risking eternal torment for great fortune. Okay, let's shift again. From these self-inflicted rituals to places, cursed locations, where the horror is tied right into the geography. This story involves something called the watch cabin and a hidden well. The person telling the story was staying overnight with a friend. It was in this small, old country house, the watch cabin, on the grounds of this ancient high school, like 120 years old. Apparently, the school itself had a really weird layout, renovations making staircases go nowhere, doors you couldn't access, already unsettling.
That's a strange scene.
So they're in the cabin, and this old-fashioned telephone, the kind with a real bell, suddenly rings. Loudly. It was the school janitor, and he sounded, well, anxious. He just gave this cryptic warning before hanging up. Make sure to close the curtains on the west side of the cabin.
Just that, nothing else.
Just that. So naturally, they look first. They peer out the west window, and hidden in the gloom between the cabin and the school building, they see it. This old, sinister-looking well, and it's circled tightly with thick hemp rope.
Okay, creaky, so they closed the curtains.
They did. But later that night, the narrator wakes up, and their friend isn't in bed. They look outside, and the friend is standing by the well, just standing there in her underwear, like she's in a trance.
Oh, no.
But it gets worse. The narrator looks closer and realizes the friend isn't just standing. She's doing something with her hands at her waist. She's tying that hemp rope around herself. The other end was already secured to this huge, heavy stone near the well.
Oh, this is bad.
And then this pale white hand snakes out from inside the well. It finds the rope tied to the friend, grabs it, and starts tugging, trying to drag the stone and the friend attached to it down into the darkness of the well.
Just pure nightmare feel. What did the narrator do?
They were frozen, just paralyzed by fear, couldn't move, couldn't scream. A really common element in these things, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But then that old phone rings again, that shrill, piercing ring. It shocks the narrator out of the paralysis. They manage to run out, grab their friend, and drag her back inside the cabin just in time.
Saved by the bell, quite literally.
Exactly.
Okay.
But here's the kicker, the real analytical nugget. Afterwards, maybe trying to call for help, they looked at the phone properly. It was just a shell, an empty case, no wires, no internal mechanisms, no phone line connected to anything. It physically could not have worked.
Wow. So the call wasn't a call, it was something else. And this fits perfectly with the location's supposed history that, well, it has a dark past. The story goes that students used to throw themselves down it frequently, so much so that the school tried to bury it, fill it in.
What happened?
Everyone involved in the burial work, they died soon after. Accidents, illnesses, the works. So they gave up on burying it and built the watch cabin instead. The idea was to have someone literally watch the well, keep people away.
But even that didn't work.
Apparently not. Even the watchman eventually threw himself down the well, which leaves the huge question. If the phone was dead and the original watchman was gone, who or what made that phone ring to save them? Was it a warning from the watchman's spirit or something else entirely?
That idea of a place itself being cursed, drawing people in, it leads right into our next story. This one's set in Ueto Prefecture. It's near another valley known for being a, let's call it a hot spot for jumpers, like Akikahara Forest, but maybe less famous. Bodies are apparently always found in the exact same spot below one cliff.
Always the same spot. That's oddly specific.
Exactly. So someone is hiking there. They come across a bridge spanning this deep valley, but something feels wrong. You know how bridges in Japan often have that small shrine at the entrance? For safety? Good luck.
Yeah, usually a little Jizo statue or something.
Right. Well, this bridge didn't have one. It was missing. The hiker thought maybe it just fell down or was removed, so they kept walking along the valley edge. About half a mile later, they see another bridge. And this one, it does have the shrine. Looks normal. So they cross the second bridge, the one with the shrine, head into the nearby town, stay the night at a guest house.
Okay, seems straightforward enough, just a bit confusing with the two bridges.
That's what they thought. Until the next morning, talking to the guest house host. The host reveals the horrifying truth. The host tells them, completely seriously, that first bridge you saw, the one without the shrine, it's not actually there.
What? Not there how? Like, it collapsed.
No, it's an illusion, a fake bridge. It looks real, solid, permanent, but it isn't.
A geographical hallucination. Wow, and that explains why the bodies are always found in the same spot.
Exactly. Travelers see the fake bridge, step onto it thinking it's real, and they just fall straight through, plummet down the cliffside.
That is terrifying. Have the locals tried to warn people? Put up signs.
They tried. But the story goes that any warning signs they put up near the fake bridge just vanish, mysteriously disappear overnight.
So they couldn't stop the illusion directly.
Right, so they settled for a sort of supernatural countermeasure. They built the shrine, but only on the real bridge.
Clever. Hoping that superstition, that ingrained habit of looking for the shrine, would guide people correctly, make them choose the safe path.
Precisely. So the practical advice, the takeaway nugget from this source, is stark. If you're ever hiking in that part of Niigata and see two bridges near a cliff, look for the shrine. Apparently it's the left bridge going into town, the right bridge when leaving. Choose the one with the shrine. Your life might depend on it.
A terrifying thought, relying on folklore to navigate a deadly illusion.
Okay, for our final deep dive today, let's look at a ritual specifically for vengeance. Kuro Kami-sama. It translates to something like black hair god or black hair spirit.
Huh.
This entity is mostly reported in the Kanto region, which includes Tokyo, and its whole deal is punishing people who abuse their power. Bosses, bullies, that sort of thing.
Right. This taps directly into feelings of powerlessness, especially in, say, workplace harassment situations, which can be a big issue. This ritual is specifically for victims who want serious, irreversible harm to come to the people who wronged them. It's about reclaiming control through supernatural means when you feel you have none.
And the ritual itself is deceptively simple. You just pull out one single strand of your own hair, then you recite the names of the people who wronged you and exactly what they did to you. After that, you go somewhere high up a building, a cliff, whatever. You say, Kuro Kami-sama, please avenge my wrongs. And you just let the hair fall. Release it to the wind.
Simple action, but the promised result is devastating for the targets. The stories claim the consequences are swift and severe. Families breaking apart, sudden job loss, getting diagnosed with terminal diseases, even completely losing their minds. Serious, life-destroying stuff.
But there's a catch, a huge one. And this is the real core of the story, psychologically speaking.
The rule, the backdrop.
Exactly. There's one simple, absolutely crucial rule. You must never tell another living soul that you performed the ritual. Not a word about it, ever. If you do, if you break that silence and tell someone the details, the curse instantly reverses.
Reverses how?
Completely. The people you cursed. Their lives apparently turn around dramatically. Everything starts going right for them.
Yeah.
But your life, it spirals downwards.
Towards what?
Disaster.
Yeah.
Ruin, potentially even death or just disappearing. There's one specific account mentioned of a woman who confided in someone about doing the ritual, and she simply vanished not long after, never seen again.
So the power of the vengeance is directly tied to your ability to keep the secret. It's not just a curse you unleash. It becomes this immense psychological burden you have to carry in total silence. You're isolated by the very success of your own desire for revenge.
That really sums up the horror underlying a lot of these, doesn't it? Whether it's the hypnotic pull of that Kagome song or the terrible isolation needed for Kuro Kami-sama, these stories, bubbling up from anonymous forums, they latch onto very real human anxieties, fear of fate, the lure of easy fortune, that deep desire for revenge. And they shape these feelings into these terrifying rule-based systems, these games you play with unseen forces.
Which brings us back to that fundamental question we started with, doesn't it? Are these just incredibly sophisticated, collaboratively built ghost stories exploring Japan's darker folklore in a modern way? Or Do they actually serve as genuine cautionary tales? Warnings about real places, dangerous games, or even the destructive power of your own desires, all existing just outside the edges of our normal perception, waiting for a misstep.
A deeply unsettling thought to end on. We've definitely walked through some dark, but also, I think, really fascinating territory today. Thank you for joining us on this unsettling journey into the shadows of 2chan.
Stay safe, try to stay spooky, and maybe remember, sometimes the most interesting things do happen in the dark. And hey, if you enjoyed this kind of deep dive into the chilling corners of the world, please do like, share, and subscribe to our channel, Horror Docs. We've got plenty more frightening stories coming your way.